is Noreen from Joya Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up! Card videos, please click the subscribe, and that little bell will remind you when my videos come up. So today's video is Paper Pumpkin Alternatives. This is the October 2022 HoHoHo Paper Pumpkin Kit. Woohoo! So let's take a look. I've only kind of opened it like that, so I don't know what's inside here yet. So we've got Santa's sleigh with reindeer, a bunch of things, some snow, some stars. The ink is early espresso. Here's the stuff here, and let's open up the tissue. So I got everything off here, and now we've got some like little pearl embellishments. We've got dimensionals. Here are the envelopes. So the envelopes do have an inside, and this is what they look like on the outside. So we got that. And then we got card fronts. Here's the first kind. And then here is some more here. And here's the third one here. All right, and then we've got some just rectangles with the design. We've got some vellum, and it looks like it's probably the background to a word, I'm going to say. And then we got sentiments, and then we've got, oh, these are nice little die cuts and die cuts. And here we go. This is what those, the vellum goes behind these words here. Got glue dots. These are great. Hold on to these. Even if you don't use all of them, hold on to them because they're great for embellishments of any size, because they stick like a glue dot, but they're not so thick. So those are fantastic. And then we've got, oh, that's really cool. Some die cut kind of foil looking kind of snowflakes. And then here's some die cuts with joy, some Santas, a couple of squares, one's a frame, that, and then of course the instructions here. So these are the 3 cards that come using the kit. So I'm going to make the 3 cards, and then after that we'll do my alternatives. So I'll be right back. I'm back. So here are their cards. I have to talk a little quiet. My grandbaby's sleeping in the other room, so I have to be like quiet. Anyway, so I don't know about this kit. I thought it was okay. I've seen some better kits from them. Maybe I just don't like the colors of, I don't know. They're a little muted for me for Christmas. And, you know, out of the 12 stamps they gave you, they only used 5, which I thought was interesting. Be careful in the instructions, because you could totally overlook the little embellishments, and they're like almost invisible. So you can almost lose these things. I put them in a little thingy like that. But the embellishments go on the snowflakes. So small, medium, and large on the embellishments coordinate with those snowflakes. So there's one here, and then 3 here. I thought the Santa stamped out really nice. Beware of, you know, with these clear stamps like this, when you've got a solid, so sometimes they don't stamp out as dark unless you use a Stamparatus. But I thought this one was just kind of okay. I wasn't really enthused with it. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my alternatives, and let's see if we can take it up a notch. So anyway, I'll be right back. I'm back. So before I show you my alternatives, I did want to show you that what you can do is when you get a paper pumpkin, they do send you an email with a link to print a cover sheet for the inside of a stamp case box. So go ahead and print that out and cut it up. If you don't have that link, go to the detail of my video, which means next to the description, there should be an arrow or a shore mower or something like that. And there's a link to print this. And when you print this, you can cut it down and you can get one of these stamp boxes. This is also in the detail of my video. All the dimensions, all the supplies for all the alternatives are in the description. And if you want to place an order, all you have to do is click on one of the bit.ly links. And all my links are saved. You can click on all my links. And what I'll do for the Stampin' Up, because there's 2 ways you can shop, Stampin' Up and Amazon affiliate. this would be under the Stampin' Up. So there's a link there. If you click on it, it goes right to my Stampin' Up store, joyofcards.stampinup.net, and you can place an order for this. There's also Amazon links, and Amazon links are all the things that aren't Stampin' Up, like my glass plate here, all the folders that I put all my papers in, my embossing station thing that holds my gun. Everything you see in the videos, you should be able to click on an Amazon link and purchase. So, but these are great. So I'll take, after I'm done with my Stampin' Up or my Paper Pumpkin, I will put my stamps inside. I'll put all the extra pieces inside. And also when I use my stamps, I back it on a piece of paper. So when I'm making my alternatives, I can actually see stuff there. So everything goes back in the box, and I sell these. I'll put them on my website, joyofcards.com. You can go to shop and then shop Joy of Cards, and I'm going to be doing a video really soon, probably the next one, to show you how to do that. And all my paper pumpkins are there in the case and everything. Kind of depends if you get the Stampin' Spot or not. I'm not sure if I have this one. If I already have this Stampin' Spot, it'll be included. If not, it won't. And I think they're about $8. So anyway, so let's get to my first alternative. Here's my first alternative, and I wanted to do something super basic. So what I did is I took their card base, and it's just that blue one that, you know, it's just their plain paper pumpkin base. And I took the snowflake and the star stamp, and I used two different colors. I used Starry Sky and Pacific Point, and I did them in the two different colors. And then when I stamped Mary, I used Starry Sky, and then when I stamped Christmas, I used Pacific Point. But for this Christmas, because it is a solid stamp, and those clear stamps don't do very well on something super solid. So what I had to use is use the Stamparatus. So I used the tag from the Paper Pumpkin kit. I snailed the back, and I went ahead and put it on here, and that will hold it down because it's such a small tag. To get those magnets to stick is pretty impossible. So just nail the back, stick it on here, line it up, and go ahead and use your Stamparatus. I also used the adhesive back stars and put them next to all the little stamps here. And then I used the red and green adhesive back pearls because they have gold, silver, blue, and red. And I used the little blue ones on the star, and I put the silver ones on the snowflakes. And then on the inside, I used Pacific Point and Starry Sky, basic white, and I stamped it with the snowflakes. And, you know, it looks really plain because all I did is use their base. I didn't layer it or frame it or anything like that. So that's why it's best to use a layering kind of technique. I know I use it all the time, but it just makes the card look better. But anyway, this is alternative number one. Here's alternative number two, and what I did is I took Sweet Sorbet. Now, all the dimensions and everything, don't forget, is in the detail of the video, so you don't have to frantically write it down. But it's Sweet Sorbet, and they've been using Sweet Sorbet on a lot of stuff. In fact, if you look at the directions from this paper pumpkin, all the colors are right here, and Sweet Sorbet is one of them. So I took a Sweet Sorbet, and then I took this blue background is actually the card from the kit. I just cut off the back of it. So this is their card from here. This tag right here is also theirs. It's the blue tag. So I flipped it over, and I used a blending brush, and I used Sweet Sorbet on the main part, and then I took a dauber in Cherry Cobbler and edged the sides of it here. So it gives that two-tone look because Mary is a two-tone anyway. And then I took their snowflakes, I put them down. I used these adhesive back seasonal sequins, and this is in the mini catalog. And they have the Sweet Sorbet ones, so I put the Sweet Sorbet ones in the middle of the snowflakes. And then I used their embellishment from the Paper Pumpkin. And of course, these adhesive back stars, they're great. So I put those there. I used their tag from the kit, and then also their tag for Christmas, and I stamped it in Sweet Sorbet. Now, again, I had to use the Stamparatus because this won't stamp very well if you just stamp it. So if you just put a little snail in the back, put it on your thing, line it up, and then use your Stamparatus, then it'll come out nice and dark. And then on the inside, I use Balmy Blue, Sweet Sorbet, and Basic White. Put their snowflake in, and then put in the sentiment. And this is alternative number 2. Here is alternative number 3. Now, I don't know if you've noticed in the video, and I don't want you to keep looking at my finger here. I might as well call it out while I'm here so it's not a distraction. I was making a salad yesterday at lunch, and I have one of those mandolin things that you can really make, you know, nice, even, thin slices of stuff. And I decided to add a little bit of my own flavoring, and I cut the very tip of my finger. I didn't cut it. I cut it off. So yeah, so it bled and bled and bled, and there's a Band-Aid, and then we've got this funky little sticky kind of rubbery stuff to keep it on there from bleeding out. So, and even if I would have gone to the urgent care, there was nothing to stitch because I literally sliced it. And what's terrible, because I had it on really, really thin, and then I meant, oh, I need a little thicker, and then I did that. So I really did a number. So don't let this be a distraction to my hands. Yeah, I'm done. So anyway, so alternative number 3 is easy. What I did is I took their card base, which I really didn't like the colors of this kit. I think that using crumb cake and muted colors was just kind of a mistake. I wasn't impressed. I was so excited for it, and then it was like, eh. But anyway, I used their crumb cake base. Then I took shaded spruce, and this is like the last card that I did, and it was so quick. I had a bunch of these Santas. I stamped them, and by the way, stamping those Santa faces wasn't hard at all. That was actually the best thing about the whole kit. So I put 3 Santas down. I used dimensionals. I used my very, very favorite red rhinestone basic jewels. If they ever get rid of these, I'm going to go on the Stampin' Up! Sandbox for all you demonstrators out there. There's a place that you can say, hey, what are you doing? And it's the Sandbox. Just go and log in, and you can go make a complaint if you want to. If they take these away from me, I'm going to be upset. And then I took the HoHoHo, and I cut it, and I backed it with their vellum, and I just put it out there, and then the inside is just shaded spruce, cherry cobbler, and the white, and just stamp this in cherry cobbler here. And the face, by the way, I kept the early espresso. This was with the kit. I'm not sure when I sell my used paper pumpkin kit if I'm going to include the Stampin' Spot or not. I usually don't, but now it's getting to the point where I have so many that I'm starting to run out of space. In fact, I went online and I bought one of these boxes, and they're great. So I can see all the Stampin' Spots. In fact, I have 2 of them here just because, and they're nice and thin, so they don't take up a lot of room, and I just stick them in my little side thing here. But these things are great. But if I have one already, I'll include it. If not, it won't be in there. But anyway, this is alternative number 3. Here's alternative number 4. And this was really fun. Actually, I just went ahead and stamped out the Santa. And then I colored it in with light cherry cobbler. I used the light polished pink for the nose and the cheeks. And then Stampin' Up! Has flesh color Stampin' Blends now. These are great. So I happen to use SU 800, and they come in 2 packs. And if they're hard to find, it's because they hide it. It's on page 128. It's number 9 here. These are fantastic. I ended up getting all of them because, I mean, you need all of them. So I used the fleshy Stampin' Blend there. I also used Wink Stella, but my Wink Stella is like a little dried up. And what I need to do is, and I just didn't have it here, is you take the lid off, you take this part off here, and there's a black cap. If you pop that up and put a couple of drops of isopropyl alcohol in it and shake it up, it will regenerate. Now, the only one I have is 91%, and you don't want to use this in here. You want to use the low one, like a 40 or 50 if you can find it. And because if you use the larger ones, it'll eat the plastic. So that's a bad thing generally, right? So, and then I stamped this all on the shimmery white paper, which they also kind of hide in the catalog here. It's on page 140 is shimmery white here. And that paper is great for any kind of blending. So if you really want to make it a little more festive and look better, use the shimmery white. And then this paper here is that red and white glimmer paper, which I absolutely love. I have a bunch of it. And what I also did is I took my rectangle stitch frames, the largest one, and I cut out the middle. So I'm not wasting all that glimmer paper, you know, for it not to be seen. So, and then on the inside, you can take that piece. Now, I didn't do it on this one, but you could take the piece from the front and put it on the inside. But I used the shimmery white and then the red glimmer and then the white again, stamped this in cherry cobbler. And this is alternative number 4. Here's alternative number 5. Now, when I was looking through the kit, I really liked this background that they used, but it's so small. And I thought, well, I can make this, because if I put 2 together, you would have a seam, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. So what I did, this is, by the way, a shaded spruce card base. And then I took cherry cobbler and took the largest and the second largest rectangle stitch frame and made this frame. This is on shimmery white, because you want to use shimmery white. And all the dimensions are in the description of the video, don't forget. And I took my new embossing additions toolkit, which is awesome. It comes with this stuff here. And I've always used a jewelry tray thing for my embossing. And they came out with one, and it has this little spout on the end and an embossing buddy, which we haven't seen in a while, and a brush. So I went ahead and I embossed with Versamark, and I stamped with those stars that came with the kit. And then I did some blending, and I just took my blending brush and Bermuda Bay. That's it. I just took these 2. I put the darker color. I just, you know, did it a lot on the top and then faded it as I went down. And then after everything, I did all that, I took like a cloth and wiped off all the ink off of the Versamark, and it pops out. Now, I did add some extra like stars, and what I did is I took a little dish and my Whisper White refill ink and that isopropyl alcohol. Now, this you will need the 91%. And I put in a couple, just like 1 drop. And then you take a piece of scratch paper and flick it and see if it like absorbs into the paper. If it does completely, add a little bit more of the refill, because you don't want it to just disappear, because, you know, the alcohol will take over the pigment. So add a little bit more pigment in there. Check it again to make sure you're getting little white dots. And then when you get to your paper, just flick it onto the paper, and it'll make those extra little white dots that you see there that will look like little stars. Now, as for the Santa, you're going to have to use your Stamparatus. There's just no way to go around it. And I use Memento, because I wanted it to be really dark. And then I also used the Stamparatus for the HoHoHo, because I wanted it dark. And then on the inside, we've got, and I used my rectangle stitch frames, and you can use the frame from the front and put it on the inside. So I just made 3 of those frames here in cherry cobbler, shaded spruce, and shimmer white again, and stamped the snowflake in Bermuda Bay, and this in cherry cobbler. And this is alternative number 4. Here's alternative number 5. Now, number 5 and number 6 actually coordinate together, and you'll find out in a minute. So what this is a basic black card base. I used cherry cobbler, and then I took this stencil from the kit. Now, like I said, I don't like this crumb cake color. I didn't like any of the colors or anything. So what I did is I turned it over, and I used shaded spruce, and I blended it. Now, as I was blending it, I also took a piece of shimmery white, the same size, and I put it underneath, and I made a stencil. And you're going to see the stencil in the next card. But I covered this with shaded spruce, and then I bumped this up on dimensionals, and I put the joy in. I put in the snowflakes from the kit, and then I added the matte black dots because it looked really nice, because I used black in the card base. And then we've got cherry cobbler, shaded spruce, and white, and stamped shaded spruce for the sentiment. And this is card number 5. Actually, it's card number 6. Here's alternative number 7. Now, what I tell you, when I was doing this one, This was the sheet that was behind it in the shimmer white. So you can see the stencil it made. It's really pretty. And I did that, of course, in shaded spruce. And this card front is cherry cobbler. Then I used the glimmer paper, this evening evergreen gold and white glimmer paper that Stampin' Up has. And I put all my little pieces into my little folders here. So I've got all the little pieces here because you don't want to waste those. So I used my rectangle stitch frames and I made a frame and then I kept cutting them out. So there's nothing behind the paper, as you can see here. So I did gold, the evening evergreen, and the gold. I put down that stenciled piece that I had. Then I used the festive pearls, and you can't tell because this is a new pack, but they're red, blue, silver, and gold. And I used the red and I used the gold and put down the joy. And then on the inside is evening evergreen white. Did this in cherry cobbler and used the Santa. And this is alternative number 7. Here is alternative number 8, and it's really cool. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but this is all clear in here. So this is an evening evergreen card base. And what I did is a 5.5 by 4.25, but I cut 3 inches off. Because what I did is I took that stencil piece, it's like this one, but it's the 2 smaller ones, and took 2, and I used a cherry cobbler, and I blended with the blending brush on both of the white sides. So I've got 2 pieces of white here. Now, I did make a mistake, but I fixed it. So I'll tell you both ways. The original plan was I was going to take the 2 pieces and put them back to back. But in between, I wanted to use the window sheets. And I've got them all in my folder here. As you can tell, I save every last little bit. So I wanted to put the window sheets in between and just make that window sheet a 5.5 by 4 so it sticks out. So all I would have had to have done is, that's all that it would have been, is I would have had it in between. Well, I forgot. So what I did is I did the 2 sheets, I put them back to back. And when I put them on, and I glued them together, and I just used my fine tip glue. And this was great because I got in between all the little spaces here because I didn't want it to move anywhere. But because I didn't put the window sheet in between, I had to put it on the back. Now, when I put it on the back, I had to use the little glue dots from the Paper Pumpkin kit. So I needed to cover them up. So I went ahead and used the adhesive backed stars and just put them on top here. And then I took another piece of evening evergreen and I cut it down and I put it on top so you don't see any of my mistake. But it is nice. It's a nice window here. So that's how I did that. And then, of course, I put the stars here and my real red rhinestones, which are my favorite, and put them on top of the stars. I took their sentiment, that blue one, and I took some scratch paper and I lined it up against that outline. And I took actually my shaded spruce Stampin' Right and I colored it to the shaded spruce. Now, if you don't have the Stampin' Rights, then you can use a blending pen. And if you're a demonstrator, it's worth getting the Stampin' Rights. So I made the edges in the shaded spruce because I wanted it to be green. And then I put on the vellum and the HoHoHo. Now, as for this part here, I made a frame for the piece. So this is in basic black, and this is shimmery white. Now, if you're going to do this, you're going to need to first Versamark it. So I used, of course, my Versamark, and I used those stars and the white embossing powder. Now, what's nice is when I'm warming up my heat gun, I use my Totally Tiffany station here, so I can leave my heat gun on there, let it heat up, and then if I need to also, keep it away from my hand, because obviously I like to serve myself for dinner. I am not very good at safety lately, but this will save you from, burning yourself. And then embossed it in that white. And then I took the Santa in the Sleigh and, of course, had to use my Stamparatus because if you want it dark, you're going to want to do that. And I mementoed this down. Now, the other ones where I use my Stamparatus, I use the Stampin' Spots. Now, you could take your refill inks and fill them in there and use them for your Stamparatus because it keeps your plate clean. These are fantastic for the Stamparatus. So I really advise for this. So this is also in the description of my video. It's under one of the Stampin' Up bit.ly links. All the folders and everything, like I said, will be under the Amazon links. It really does. Every time you click on one of my Amazon links and buy something, I get a little kickback. If you click on one of my links and you're logged into your Amazon Prime account or Amazon account and you accept the cookies, what that does is for 24 hours, I get a little kickback on anything you buy. So, and it just helps my very small business maintain and keep making videos, and it literally costs you nothing. It doesn't download any viruses. It's completely safe, but it helps out my small business because, as you know, if you're a demonstrator, there's not a lot of money in Stampin' Up. Anyway, so so I went ahead and I stamped that out nice and dark, and then on the inside, what I did is I cut a little piece of the shimmery white, enough so you can't see it through the window here. And I used that really pretty glimmer paper again and put it down here and used one of their snowflakes. So this is alternative number 8. So these are all my alternatives. Please like and subscribe. Click on my Amazon links and help out my little tiny business, and you can get it back out and then, you know, go Christmas shopping. That would be awesome. But anyway, enough of that. That'll do it for me. Thanks. Bye.